morning, one and all, and this is From the Fringes, a program about alternative, provocative views. My name is Jack Geelan, and my co-host here is Gloria Bridgman this morning, and these definitely are our own opinions. Okay, the New Zealand First meeting I went to on Monday. We had an end-of-the-year breakup, and Pippa and Gudgeon, who was a candidate for the New Zealand First Party, was there, and they were speaking about immigration law, taking our sovereignty away, and a lot of members actually said if they do that, well, they won't be bother staying with New Zealand First. We also talked about the need to define policies, affordable housing, independent complaints authority over ORANGA TAMARIKI, and sharing pamphlets on working effectively in the community. We also talked about the black, white and silver flag that they've got for New Zealand First. So we've got a campaign going, and we need to get out and contact people, and it's about the groundswell response from people. Okay, harsher penalties for those who kill on the road. Young girl who was on drugs at the time, marijuana, and she smacked into a 15-year-old, and there should be harsher penalties. She just got a bit of home detention. Should be a minimum of 2 years for a hit and run. What do you reckon, Gloria?
Oh, yes, definitely, Jack. I mean, you know, I don't know, life's for a life, but...
Yep. Okay, we need to stand against the decriminalisation of marijuana, as it is a gateway drug, and Jacinda has made it a health issue, not a criminal issue, when it needs to be a criminal issue. And I was talking to someone on the Hukanui Marae, because I actually buried Mr. Sketchley's about 55 when he died. Spent a lot of time up at Whangarei, and this person was talking to me about the fact that there's been 3 or 4 suicides that are related to drugs, where they owe gangs the money and they can't pay the money and they end up taking their lives. So drugs are definitely a problem in our society, and the police are being told not to penalise those taking meth or synthetic cannabis. So these are double standards, aren't they, Gloria?
Yeah, well, they are, Jack, because if you're taking these meths and all that, and, you know, you owe gangs money, well, of course you're going to commit suicide, because otherwise, you know, you're going to be knocked off if you owe the gangs money.
Yeah, exactly. And we're also talking today about the anti-democratic spying on activists by public services, and the need to, you know what I mean, they shouldn't actually spy on us as freedom fighters and who speak the truth. You've got something on that, Gloria?
Yes, well, I've got something on spying, Jack. It's noro.v.p.n. Well, computer security, military equipment. How safe is this? Well, at least the good old 7th Cavalry can keep tabs on people with computers. After all, 2 school kids years ago broke into NASA security. There really is no such thing as freedom of speech or security these days. Yeah.
Right. Now, I wanted to talk about this article that says in the paper, keep our daughters safe by teaching our men. And I wanted to talk a little about we're pleading for the violence to stop, for men to respond better. Although on TV we're promoting mothers on Father's Day, men need to be proactive. 14 women a year are dying. The media don't ask why the Grace murder had occurred. It seems to me that they're all busy promoting just this one woman. Why aren't they looking into the other murders that are going on around the country?
Yes, well, I've got something to say about that, Jack. First of all, I'd like to offer my sincere condolences to the Grace Milan family. So, you know, this is my personal opinion about this. But we have a lovely young she was a lovely young lass cut down her prime. And if not for Grace's death, would we have gone this far over our beloved whānau and domestic violence folk? Men and women murdered, none left cold cases, maybe just coming to light. As I said, this is my personal opinion, but, you know, I've stated before with the double standards, Jack, we've got to scrub our own doorstep first, and community starts at home.
Yeah, so the violence will not stop until men are properly represented with a political voice, and the boys are growing up in a lethal world. Black Ribbon states that there are many ways in which men are persecuted and marginalised, and this is reflected in the high male suicide toll. And my placard here talks about Knights of the Southern Cross. I've been talking to some Catholic people about representation of men, so I'll just read this out first, Gloria. Father Heart Ministries, where's the father's heart for fathers, sons and daughters? Mama, a ministry of men's affairs. The woman received 10 million a year. They're putting absolutely nothing into changing men. It seems all right. They say that fathers are cut out of families, fathers are committing suicide, the justice system is doing absolutely nothing about it. We need universal refuges for men and women, and purple-hearted fathers for justice to honour fathers, spiritual fathers, youth mentors, families and kids for justice. So we need to empower men to change, and we need to stop torturing the men. Could you just hold that, Gloria?
Yes, well, Jack, on that subject, I mean, I do agree with equality, and I'm from a heavy-duty domestic violence situation, but we do need to empower the men, because we've got too many Amazon queens, and it starts with the head as Jesus Christ, and then the man, and then the woman. But if the woman is in a domestic violence situation, or the kids are getting beaten up, or that sort of, well, that's a different kettle of fish, Jack. But we do need to empower the men, because with the equality thing, which I also agree about, Jack, there's a double standards issue comes in here, and it is very wrong, because we really do need to empower our men folk.
So the social worker registration board should provide social service to those in need, solution-focused strategies and spiritual initiatives, alternative methods. So they definitely haven't got a history to boast about, and ORANGA TAMARIKI definitely needs this independent complaints authority put over it. Yeah, so today we're talking about New Zealand first, and politicians in general are there to look after the welfare of people, to represent the voice of the people in the community, and policies need to be geared towards where people are coming from. We're sick of them talking about homes and $500,000 and doing nothing about it, when we should have affordable homes for everyone. And we also are afraid that they might take our sovereignty away, and we want to unite all people. All the tribes need to unite together, because the whakaputanga honours the sovereignty of all individuals. And if we go with the immigration law and the global compact, we might be taking our rights away as citizens of New Zealand. It's bad enough with the families as it is. And we're also talking about harsher penalties for those who cause murders or kill on the road. You know what I mean? The road should be a safe place, and if someone kills someone else through an accident on the road, they should get a minimum of 2 years in prison.
I'm thinking, Jack, I'm under the impression at the moment that if you speak the truth and in love and justice and everything, that you become an enemy of the state. And I'm getting sick and tired that you cannot speak the truth, even if it is your own personal opinion, because other people have their personal opinions as well. But I've never believed in camouflaged truths, Jack. I mean, if I have to become an enemy of the state because I can't speak my mind, well, then so be it. They'll have to lock me up and throw the key away.
And I thank Community Radio for providing this platform from the fringes for us to speak out the truth, to be freedom fighters for the cause of justice. Okay, we need to stand against the decriminalisation of marijuana. It's a gateway drug to meth. The meth is ruining the minds of young people, and the police should be anti it. You know, they should stand against people that are smoking even marijuana. It's against the law at the moment, against the synthetic cannabis, which is killing how many people so far this year? About 40 people, and the meth is just ruining our society. We should have just a complete stand against drugs, full stop, in our society. And anti-democratic spying on activists, like you're saying, Gloria, you do become an enemy of the state when you start speaking out the truth and declaring things as they really are from a family perspective. And we're also talking about the need for Father Heart Ministries. When is the government going to get it? I mean, they've had this inquiry into state abuse. They've had so many submissions, but they've done absolutely nothing about the abuse, nothing about the family. When are they going to honour the biological family? It's all very well with the LGBT and honouring transvestites and everything else, but what about real mothers and real fathers? And over here, Father Heart Ministries, where's the father's heart for fathers, sons and daughters? We need, Mama, a ministry of men's affairs. When are we going to honour a ministry for men in our society? No wonder there's so much violence around, Gloria, with all the fathers that have been split off from families, even mothers that have been split off.
As I said, Jack, I believe in equality, but there are a lot of things, you know, that men used to be able to go to certain clubs or certain places.
That's
where
right, Gloria.
Just men could gather and talk about manly things. But now women go to these places as well. I mean, there's lots of places women can go to. They don't need to crash in on the scenes that the men go to.
Right.
And this is what is...
They're taking over the men's jobs,
it's
taking away everything,
just
you know.
it all up, in my opinion, Jack.
Universal refuges for men and women. Well, men suffer and fathers suffer as much as women with family alienation. That's a no-brainer. Why isn't the government honouring men and fathers in our society? Purple-hearted fathers for justice, spiritual fathers. We need to believe that we are spiritual fathers, and if you're a man, if you're a father out there, you need to enlist and become a freedom fighter and stand up for justice. You need to make submissions to the government, and we need to empower men to change in our society and stop torturing men.
And we are not saying that, you know, there are a lot of lovely solo mums and mums out
beautiful,
there. They're doing some wonderful jobs,
do wonderful
solo
work,
mums and everything. But we do have to empower the men because, you know, we have Jesus Christ as the head of the house, and then the man, and then the woman. As I said, but if it's incestuous, if there's violence on the part of the man, well,
it does happen a percentage of the time.
So then
you know?
That's fair enough that the woman takes control of the role, but otherwise, no.
Now, they're not after me, says Trump, they're after you. I'm just in the way. Dutch Sheet, who's a Christian prophet, quicken Iscariot prophet, knowing what Israel should do. 2018 to 19, the turning point at crossroads, exposing the deep state and left's mad dash to globalism, secularism, immoralism, shifting control from the government to the people, starting with the courts, exposing left-leaning judges ruling with unconstitutional decrees. The Constitution is being affected in America. Now, the military and the police are virtually here in New Zealand under the control of the American system. We've been aware of that for so long, taking away freedom of speech. And
well, Jack, there was never such a thing as the Geneva Convention. There was, but it was never upheld. And even the United Nations now is not so much for the people, you know, the Red Cross and all that sort of thing. The Red Cross do a marvellous job, but even the Holy Blue Beret now, well, you know, they're not sort of...
Now, we want free humanity versus global enslavement, one world order survival plan, Armageddon ready. That's why I wear this shirt, that Christians need to rise up, be empowered, and make their voice count, like Tamariki down at the Beehive with Man Up, saying they need man up in in the prisons. But I'd like to read this. Objectively and honestly, left on the last train and political correctness has taken over the station. How else can you explain university sports in both Canada and United Nations allowing biological males to compete in women's, not allowing, biological males to compete in women's sports? How else can you explain drag queens dressed in their finest reading to small children in grade school in libraries? How can you explain mothers and fathers taking their children to these events? How else can you explain an attempt to interject into the second grade school textbook a drag queen as a role model of courage alongside Abraham Lincoln and Dr. Martin Luther King? All this gives new meaning to the cliche, the inmates are running the asylum. What do you think of that?
Well,
that's pretty radical, isn't it, Gloria?
What I'm thinking, as long as we've got a lot of these systematic Christians, which there are today, we're supposed to be in the world but not of it, but we've got so many systematic Christians trying to please the system instead of trying to please Jesus Christ. Well, it's never going to change.
Yeah, see, we need to be a ruler on the throne of David, be priests and identify with the headship of Christ, and we need to bring about transformation within society. Now, I hope people have the Christ child, and Christmas is not minus Christ this Christmas, Gloria, because that's the beginning. But I fear Christianity is going underground, where we should be the Elohistic governors, the ecclesiastical sovereigns, the Davidic God-man ruling. We are basically going underground as a Christian community, and we need to stand up and be true believers in the Lord Jesus Christ to bring about true transformation within our society. Now, I'd like to talk about free humanity versus global enslavement, and this was put together by our friend Tony. It's an international civil defence network, New Zealand Civil Defence Search Branch. He's got here, the greed-based system which we suffer under denies the people access to the very land we were born of and into. So we can't even buy our own land anymore. Preventing us a place of our own to call home is theft by the elitists of the most basic right to be able to sustain our own existence. Their crafty solution for keeping us in line being to replace a system of fair allocation of land based on the needs of the individual or family unit with a monetary-based system which they control. Whereas families used to have their own land, didn't they? Yes. And we used to have our own property. Yes. And we used to honour parents. We used to honour families. But now it's cost you, what do they call it? Land banking, which just supports the rich. I'm sick of the government talking about providing land and the Kiwi build and everything. Well, where are the homes? Where are the affordable homes?
Well, what I was reading in the latest Rotorua paper, and this is not a racial statement. Some might think it is, but it's not, because I've got Maori whānau. But they are going to be building more affordable homes for the Maori people. Well, that should be right across the board, no matter what colour you are.
Right, and investigation into the people behind the drinking water fluoride programs affecting the people of New Zealand uncovered evidence that virtually all National Party ministers appear to be RH negative blood group. It's almost as if they are blue bloods, and the elitists, the haves, and then you've got the have-nots. And we can't buy a home anymore, you know what I mean? We can't compete in a society where money is the all-important factor. He's got here organic gardening, food production, labourers would form the grassroots foundation to such a system, such a network of free and independent people working together for mutual prosperity is vital in the struggle to survive the worsening social crisis being created by the occultics of the New World Order. IDN, which means the International Civil Defence Network, encouraged the people to become members of the Republican Alliance, the underground nation of the people. This is why we need the Blue Knights. This is why we need sovereigns standing up, and this is why we do need our own civil defence in this country to defend the families, the fathers and mothers and the children.
Well, also, Jack, I'm thinking of when the cashless society comes in, and on the back of one of my little booklets, is about the barter system.
Yes.
And I really go along with the barter system because, you know, as I said, when the cashless society and everything comes in, well, everything's going to hit the fan then. So we're going to have to be bartering to survive.
Yeah, so good on you, Tony, for promoting this, the International Defence Network. And it's a wake-up call to all New Zealanders. They need to commit themselves to real change. They need to get political. The families have to get political, Gloria, because we need to become freedom fighters, suicide interventionists, because really it's a struggle to keep people alive today. What's going on with no homes, the attack on the family alienation and so forth?
Well, we're not wanting to be stirrers, Jack, just because we're fighting for justice and
we're
truth and
troubleshooters
honesty and justice.
Not troublemakers.
You know, I'm not a troublemaker, I'm a troubleshooter.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Now, how to get through Christmas? We have everything compressed into one season, the equinox and the birth of Christ, because apparently over in the northern hemisphere it's totally separate. The equinox is from Christmas and so forth. And you can get on an emotional roller coaster time. We spread ourselves too thinly, experience financial hardship and loneliness. You don't need to be lonely this Christmas. Have those social connections. Take time to be in the moment. Practice mindfulness. Have you noticed you're doing so much at Christmas time, Gloria, you haven't even got time to think?
Yes, well, that's right, Jack.
Yeah. Practice mindfulness, process your emotions and shield yourself. You know, don't take everyone's baggage on board. Process your emotions and practice emotional wounding recovery. And making resolutions for the new year, make a list of intentions to live healthier, to enter into deeper rest and contentment with the Lord, to make social connections. Okay, so whereabouts are you going to be spending Christmas this year, Gloria?
Well, I'm going to be spending it at my place, and I probably would have been spending it alone, but I've asked a survivor patient to come over for Christmas Eve, so that will be nice for him, because you don't have to spend it alone if you can stick your hand out. It's the
loneliest time of the year for a lot of people, isn't it, really? So New Zealand First, we're calling for policies, grassroots one, you know, affordable homes, and what we're doing about families. And Gudgeon actually blamed the problem on fathers and mothers in the family. I didn't quite like that, because we do need an independent complaints authority over ORANGA TAMARIKI. We're calling for harsher penalties for those who cause accidents, and in the process people are killed on the road. We're standing against the discrimination of marijuana. Drugs are no good. They're evil. They corrupt people's minds. You can get on a natural high of Jesus, become a breviarian. That's very hippified, isn't it, Gloria?
We've got to do away with our double standards, and we've got to have accountability with a capital A right across the board, Jack.
And I wanted to share just briefly, apparently the Harvey Crew case, they've found a gun belonging to Daimler, although Guy Wishart said that a police commissioner was involved because apparently he was upset over losing a lot of money, whatever the case may be. So police need to thoroughly research murders to find out who done it. I know with the Scott Watson case and Paula Tain, they ended up finding out that they were innocent, you know what I mean? So over Christmas time, we need to realise that we need the Father Heart Ministries. Where's the Father's Heart for fathers, sons and daughters? We need a Ministry of Men's Affairs. Now, if you're a male out there, if you're a father, you need to realise you need to stand up for your rights as a father, because quite often fathers are killed out of families.
About the book Beyond Reasonable Doubt,
yes,
with those murders there, Jack, I always felt that the guy who wrote that should have been had up for fraud, because he said by the time you finish reading the book you'd know who fed the baby. Well, I know a friend that read that book inside out, upside down and back to front, and it still never told you who fed the baby, so that's fraud in my opinion.
So it had to be someone related to the family. It had to become the farmer or the grandfather, because he stood to get something from the insurance claim. I mean, this is, you know, it isn't brain science, is it, Gloria? I mean, you can work it out for yourself, you know, if you just look at the evidence, you know what I mean?
If you're going to write a book on truth, and it's going to be on truth, it's not fiction or something, Jack, well, you've got to state the facts. And if you're going to say that this book is about who fed the baby, and then you're paying $40 odd for the book and you're still not knowing, well, that's fraud in my opinion.
Okay, and let's realise that we need the left's taking over with politics over in America and a mad dash to globalism, secularism and moralism, and shifting control from government to people, starting with the court. So it's all about the people rising up, and it's all about honouring the Constitution. So Gloria, have a very Merry Christmas. Thank you for listening to our program From the Fringes. These are our own opinions, so be careful how you drive on the road out there, and have a very Merry Christmas and honour one another. I pray all our listeners have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and please drive safely and think of others. Okay, bye-bye.